Hey guys, I'm Kelly, the nurse who questions. I'm excited about this episode. Have you ever noticed in the United States when somebody has a traumatic brain injury, the conversation gets real small, real fast? We'll talk about imaging. We talk about symptoms. We definitely talk about medication. Headaches? Here's a pill. Mood changes? Here's another pill. Fatigue, depression, irritability, brain fog? I got a lot of pills for that too. But what if we're treating the noise and we're ignoring the signal? Because a traumatic brain injury isn't just a bump on the head. It's a full system event. What always struck me strange as a nurse is as soon as the CT scan came back and looked normal, that means you didn't have a bleed, you didn't swell, nothing obvious lit up, we act like the injury ended. But the brain doesn't work in isolation, and neither does healing. There are multiple physicians. Dr. Mark Gordon is one of them. He specializes in traumatic brain injuries. He has been saying for years that it disrupts the hypothalamic pituitary axis.
The traumatic brain injury. Now, what you have found, and many others have supported this, is that a lot of this is there's damage to the pituitary gland. It stops the production of hormones. This leads to deep depression and leads to some pretty significant issues that soldiers are facing. So if you could just fill people in on that.
Well, what we found is that because of the body armor being so efficient, a lot of the blast damage, instead of killing someone, is leaving them with trauma to the brain. And any form of trauma to the brain, whether or not it's a blast trauma, being hit on the head, slip and fall, automobile accident, turning upside down, or whatever the situation might be, the brain changes its chemistry because of inflammation. And that's from tearing of little nerves. It's not only the pituitary, and that's been some of the problem that we've had, is focusing, as I focus on a narrow kind of diet, focusing in on just the pituitary. But what we found is a group of chemistry in the brain called neurosteroids, which regulate our personality. And some of those neurosteroids have names like testosterone or dihydrotestosterone, estrogen, pregnenolone. And the literature has been around since about 1986 showing that these regulate our brain function. So head trauma of any sort can cause it to decrease, number one. Number two, with any form of damage to the brain, you get inflammation. And that inflammation expands. Let's say if there was a small area of tear in the brain or a bullet that penetrating injury to the head, that area where the bullet or the foreign object diminished the amount of brain tissue, it grows larger because of inflammation. It destroys more and more neurons. And the more cells in the brain that are called neurons are destroyed, the greater the onset of cognitive impairment, your ability to use your brain in function, and then emotionality changes.
Which basically means that your TBI can completely disrupt your endocrine system, the command center for your hormones. And do you know one of the most common casualties? Testosterone. Not just in men, but women too. Low testosterone after a TBI isn't about libido or muscle. It's about energy, cognition, mood, motivation, sleep, inflammation. The very things we label as post-concussive symptoms, and then chase them down with SSRIs, stimulants, and mood stabilizers. If someone's hormones are dysregulated because someone's brain took a hit, is that a psychiatric problem or a physiological one? Because when the endocrine system is off, the body can't repair efficiently. Neuroplasticity suffers, inflammation lingers, and your brain stays stuck in survival mode. And yet hormone panels are not routine after TBIs. Endocrinology referrals are definitely not standard care. And we rarely ask, is the body even in a state where healing is possible? Instead, we tell people, you're anxious, you're depressed, or even better, this is just how it is after a TBI. Sorry. There's no help for you. That part really bothers me. I don't think it's anti-medicine to ask if we're missing a huge piece of the puzzle. What if supporting hormonal balance after a TBI isn't fringe and it's actually foundational? What if healing the brain actually means you remember it's attached to your body? And again, I'm not saying that medications don't have a place. I'm saying they shouldn't be the only place. Because if we're not asking better questions, we're going to be getting the same outcomes. And guess what? They don't look too good. People surviving brain injuries but never fully recovering from them. And maybe the most important question is this: are we treating traumatic brain injuries the way they deserve? Or are we just managing them until everybody gets tired of asking why they still don't feel like themselves?